Well, welcome back to the Courageous Girls podcast. I'm your host, Tara Matson, founder of Courageous Girls, the curriculum developer. So I'm a little bit passionate about Courageous Girls. And one of my favorite things to do is to bring on CG mamas. So today I have with me Michelle Tae. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so good. So help us get to know you a little bit better. What stage of life are you in? If you're working outside the home or in the home, or both. I mean, that's often for a lot of mamas. Tell us a little bit about you.
I am a mom of a 12-year-old and 8-year-old. So they are sixth grade, first grade in middle school, and third grade. And I get kind of the good, best of both worlds. So I do work part time as a just administrator for a project called Autism Alert. Um, just guiding families through that journey as you're waiting for that autism diagnosis. And then the rest of the time, I get to be home with my kids. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I've gotten to know you for a long time, and it's been fun to watch you grow as a CG leader and now doing two groups. Maybe just start with a little bit about how you got introduced to Courageous Girls and what compelled you to even start a group. Talk just honestly about that journey because it's a little rocky for all of us as we look back.
Yeah. I never pictured myself as a mom of daughters. I will, and I've told this to my girls, so it's not a secret. I think there's a lot of pain when it comes to being a
Mm.
daughter for me. And so I had it in my mind that I was going to have sons. And when I was just so determined. And so when, the first ultrasound came and they said it was a daughter, I think I literally cried in the parking lot with my husband.
Mm.
It was, and just so confused and feeling kind of like ashamed, right? Like this is the gift that God has given me, and I'm crying over it, and brought up a lot of stuff for me that I think I just kind of uh, hid away after I got married. After I left home, got married, I was like, okay, now I'm in my own family and just going to start new. But recognizing that I was hungry for just help. I didn't know where to begin. As a mom of daughters, I was afraid. Um, I just saw the worst, right? And so I think because of that hunger and that desire, that's when I found you as my counselor, actually. So Tara and I started a counseling relationship, and you really just I think God was able to use you to walk me through some really, really tender parts of my story with my mom. Where I wasn't even able to speak to my mom for a while, but I think you were able to walk me through that and grieve part of that. And yeah, just kind of walk me through this, and uh, being hungry for another group of moms that I can just lean into and be honest and vulnerable. I think I just kind of started from there. I actually now thinking back, I started from all the events, right? Like the raising daughters. I think those little things kind of like fed me for a little bit, but I realized I was hungry for something a lot deeper and more consistent.
Mm. Yeah, and that's often how people start with Courageous Girls. Maybe they read the book Courageous, or I mean, very few actually get to work with me directly, but that would be a real clear direction because I'm gonna guide people towards Courageous Girls. But we have a lot of events, and now we have this podcast, and there are a lot of resources for raising daughters. Um, what do you think is the unique piece about Courageous Girls that you found that fits a need that moms have that you had that maybe some of the other resources didn't get to?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I think about courageous moms, I think about relationships and creating space to be vulnerable with one another. And
Mhm.
so, um, for me to tell my daughter and be upfront, like, I don't know everything. Like us moms, we don't know everything. We're here on a journey to try to, I think just modeling that, right? Like has really enforced that relationship with her where she can ask me questions. Like she doesn't feel like that us moms know it all or that we're perfect, but we're just walking alongside them, and we get the privilege, um, to be able to do that together in our mother-daughter relationship. And so,
Mhm.
it's one of the few I feel like it hits the heart. It's not just like head knowledge, because 'cause I've done Bible studies, I've done, different mom groups where they bring in guest speakers, but there was just something, that was missing with those, and I think a lot of what it was that deeper relationship uh, with my daughter as well as other moms, and for her to be with other like, we call them I call them aunties in her life. Like, these are her
Oh.
aunties that she can like, if sh for some reason she's not comfortable talking to me, like, there is someone else that I have confidence that they would be able to walk her through or,
Yeah.
just love on her.
What a gift. I love that you call them the aunties, but that is really part of the heartbeat, Michelle, is just how alone and isolating you spoke to that, how fearful a lot of us are in raising daughters, partly because of our own mom stories, partly because it's scary to raise daughters today in so many ways.
Yep.
Others are so excited to have girls instead of boys and are thinking, woohoo. And yet the challenges of today are really true. And I think, particularly in Christian culture, which is sad, we know community is important, but
Mhm.
like to your point, the head knowledge, we know it, but actually practicing it is very rare because we are in such a performance based culture in the
Yeah.
West side where there's not, Western culture, there's not a lot of margin. There's just not a lot of white space anymore where people just sit and are together and learn how to do all the things that come with relationship. So we learn about it on a podcast, but then we're too busy in the day to actually ever practice it with anybody. And so Courageous Girls is a built in practice with other
Mhm.
women and with our daughters, as well as quality time. And then with the hope that there would be a community of women that our daughters get to learn from, because we aren't the only woman in the world. And to be able to see how God is so creative in how he's
Mhm.
created his beautiful women across the board. So whether that's 3 or 8 other moms and daughters, there's just a way that this group was meant to be that. Now, not all groups make it all 9 years, but to have a sustainable group every month, we're
Mhm.
meeting, where you become close enough where you start to call them aunties. I love that. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the problems that girls are facing today, and it'll change. I think even since I wrote the original curriculum, Michelle, some of the issues have shifted a little bit, right? Just the concerns, they've gotten bigger or some have gone away, but at the root, it's the same issues that women, us mamas were facing when we were little girls that our little girls are facing too. So Courageous Girls is getting to the root, but there's a lot of weeds that we see in today's culture and it makes us panic as moms. What are some of the things that you and your moms are talking about and afraid of and are seeing with these little girls today?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing is that there is the access to information is I mean, in a good way and in a harmful way
Mhm.
is so easy. Um, I think some things that we talk about is like the rate these girls are growing up is way faster than when we were growing up. And I remember even for my mom, like there's a difference there, right? And like it just gets exponentially like quicker and
Mhm.
quicker. And so the topics that we need to talk about, like even about sex and different like things like that, like realizing that conversation even needs to come happen earlier that
Mhm.
in what we had dreamed or anticipated. And so information, yeah, I just kind of feeling like information is thrown out so fast and we're trying to keep up with it. And there's no way we can keep up with everything. That's the reality of how we feel or how I feel,
Mhm.
I will say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the growing up too fast is so real, and in part of that we see is social media and the introduction of social media too soon to our girls. And if it's not our girls, it's the neighbor or the kids at
Mhm.
school, right? So there's just kids, we don't want to hide in the woods and never interact with anyone, but they're being exposed, just makeup and all kinds of curiosity earlier than later. Girls are losing interest in dolls a little earlier and wanting to, keep up with the teeny boppers, which has always been the case.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just faster and faster, partly because of the digital age and the access so quickly. Anything else that you feel like you guys talk about in your anxiety? Did you kind of sit around and kind of going, "Oh my gosh, this is so different"?
Um, I mean, I think like, a big thing is the internet, 'cause, when we were
Mhm.
growing up, it was just starting, and just where they're at with AI and, all the possibilities.
Yes.
I think I it's the unknown that's scary. That is anxious for me,
Yeah.
of how fast it is, and I just can't keep up with all of it,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah. And so did you have one more thing you wanted to
Oh,
say there?
nope, nope,
Nope, you were done.
yes,
That was a wrap up. Okay. So thinking about AI, yes, and the unknowns. This is something that my heartbeat behind Courageous Girls, and something that maybe even just in my years of 2 decades of working in the trenches with all kinds of concerns um, and traumas that all of us have experienced is, even though the weeds maybe look different, the roots have been very similar. And so as we address the needs of our kiddos and are worried about like AI, I mean, AI has become a lot of kids' friends,
yep,
and them not
yeah,
even knowing how to critically think anymore. That's going to be a real issue for our kids and their generation, because they can really have AI do everything for them. Um, and those that love AI are so giddy about it. And those of us that are like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. Regardless of what side you're on, we can be a non anxious presence for our kiddos, because I always think about what we're modeling to God. We're modeling to our kids how God is with us, that no matter our
mhm,
story, no matter the changes of generational issues, at the end of the day, we still need human connection. We
yeah,
still need eye to eye empathy and comfort and care. And we need to learn the impact of our choices on one another as human beings. And so
mhm,
this is kind of that combo of what we're doing and talking about whatever's the relevant issues of the time, particularly even in our own cultures, because CG is meant to be a cross cultural. We now have CG in 14 plus countries, and by the time this airs, there could be more. Um, to be able to adapt the curriculum, to be able to talk about the current issues in your relationship with your daughter, and to be able to hear her, so she can be able to talk with you and have a safe relationship with you, and to be able to have other examples around, and to say, here's God's word. How does it apply to our life here? And
yeah,
to be human. I think you already really said that. Like, we were modeling to our girls how to be human. Like, we don't know.
mhm,
We're
yeah,
figuring it out with you. Um, so talk a little bit. So we're really addressing root issues, so that in 10 years or 20 years, CG can still be sustainable, because the
mhm,
issues that we had are still the issues that these girls have. They need to feel loved.
yep,
They need to feel known. They need to feel beautiful. They need to feel seen. And the more that we address that, the easier all of these crazy unknowns become.
yep,
They're not
yeah,
easy, but they become easier. So
yeah.
think about the journey with your own daughter, Michelle. How has I mean, you've been doing CG how long with each of them?
I we just finished with my oldest daughter, we just finished the 3rd year,
Okay.
with her.
So
Yeah.
3 years. What has been the most surprising part of your journey with her? What are some of those pieces where you go, "Oh, I didn't know that would happen?"
Um, I've had really low expectations to begin with, and so, I mean, the fact that she wants to spend time with me and, like, just shares with me, like, the things that go on in her life, that has been really, like, I think a beautiful gift from God to me, because I never had that with my own mom, or I
Yeah.
never even imagined or pictured that that could be a reality, where, um, like, CG has created that safe space, and it's consistent, where she knows that at any given point, there's nothing too embarrassing, nothing too big or too small that she can share with me,
Mm.
even as, down to her crush or whatever, and talking about that, right? Like, I think, yeah, things like that, I think that has I've been really surprised, and recognizing that CG creates that space,
Mm.
without me even, like, planning on it, it just it happened, just because of that consistent meeting every month, and she knows, and it's a commitment that we have year to year. And I think that has just fostered this growth of trust
Mm,
between us, knowing that for her to know that, yeah, mom, that communication with mom is always open.
mm. Yeah, and oh, makes my heart just wanna jump out of my chest because I'm so excited about it. That is so amazing, and you know that the research shows, Michelle, the number one thing that every person, but particularly teenagers, need is one healthy connection in the world, one
Mm,
adult that they can connect with and go to, and so if it gets to be mom, what a gift for mom and what a gift for her. Sometimes it can't be mom. And
yeah,
sometimes that's just part of whatever the reason, health, all kinds of reasons. But to know there's one. And so this deep need that's actually helps with risk taking and insecurity and all of the maladaptive coping strategies. This is huge to be able to have a trusted to know that she can come to you, talk about anything. I love that. Have you seen that transfer to anywhere else in her life, using her voice or feeling more confident to share? What else have you seen there?
um, yeah, so, I mean, at the beginning of CG, I would say my oldest daughter and I are very similar. We're not very outspoken. We just kinda like to hide in the background, but we love big. And so in the beginning when we started, I think the first 2 years, she was quiet, never wanted to raise her hand, to offer anything, maybe read a Bible passage here and there. And, but I didn't push it. I wanted to trust the process. And this year I just have seen her open up, like
Mm,
raising her hand and, volunteering, like just using her voice. And I've been just so proud of just where God is shaping and like just seeing how God is shaping her to be.
yeah.
Just really excited to see who like the woman she is becoming.
Mm,
But yeah, she volunteers answers now, and she speaks her mind. And she's growing confident, and she knows, she's aware that, like, it's not where she's totally comfortable with, but she's wanting to grow in it. And so,
mm,
yeah, I think that just
yeah.
seeing that has been really encouraging.
It is so true. Now, my clinical brain is like, this is why I say 3 years, mama, is like a minimum of 3 years,
Oh,
is because developmentally, there's this thing that happens in all of us. It takes about 2 years for us to feel safe and trusted with a group like this. And so, a lot of times, the groups we're in, we don't last this long.
yep,
We move or we get a new coach or a new team or a new classroom or Sunday school leader changes. And so to have this consistency, the third year is where risk taking starts happening in this new normal. And so it's really fun. Whatever the things that both mom and daughter are growing in, we can start risking a little more and trying things on and seeing how it feels in a safe environment. And then it only grows from there. The longer we stay together, the more fun. And we usually I'll speak from personal experience and also just what I hear all the other groups, but you hit a little rocky point in those middle school years as they're all trying on all kinds of funky things. But to have that safe kind of, we can practice here and we're going to learn how to do it well, and we're going to learn how to do repair, and we're going to learn how
yep,
to move through um, having this foundation, Michelle, is so profound. So I love hearing that about your daughter. It'll be fun for you to see her even in 5, 6 more years where that grows. Um, I'm also thinking about what you said. So often, us mamas have expectations for our girls to be like us or to be different. Like, I don't want her to experience what I experienced. So we put
yeah,
pressure on our girls. And so I loved how you said you didn't want to put pressure. You just wanted to let her be where she was at. And that's the practice for us, and as CG mamas, is let her
mhm,
do her pace, even
yep.
if she's different. Talk a little bit more about how you've discovered your own wiring and who you are as a woman and how God made you through Courageous Girls. How are you growing as a mama here?
Um, I think recently I'm learning a lot that I like to play. Um, and that's how I I think I connect with people, and so that has been really huge just even in my relationship with my daughters because they also like to play, and so we've
Mm.
kind of found, just board games, and I go really deep into the board games, like, it's not just Monopoly, but I look for the, like, strategic or,
Ooh,
things that, like, kinda tickle our brains, but we work together on solving something, and that's been
cool.
actually really good for our relationship because 'cause there's been some parts, I don't know if I'm going on a tangent, and please pause me if I am,
You go.
it's been rocky with the girls, and part of it is, when they were little, they listened to, like, anything I would say, and then they would do, and now they're starting to form their own opinions and
Mm,
kinda push back on, like, an idea I have, and so it's been a shift for me because I've always grown up, like, you do what mom and dad says,
mhm,
period. There's no question about it, and so, trying to lean into, okay, how do I give them space to grow, but still be there to guide, and so we've butted heads, and so in this stage, I've wanted to pull away, but I've heard from one friend of mine had said like during these stages is actually really when they need you closer,
mhm,
um, just to know that you're still there, even though it's rocky. And so I've been trying to lean into that, even though I want to run away. And games has been kind of a good way
mm.
for us to still spend time and kind of take some of that tension off and still go, hey, we still enjoy each other. We still love each other. And we still want to do this, And so it's been a good and hard season. Yep.
It is. Yeah, a good hard season. Yeah, those tween and early teen years are really rough because the transition's hard. It's just hard, especially when you experience such of a more intimate, they'll listen to everything and think you're amazing. And
Yeah.
then you start finding, and I do remember saying to my husband, I was like, man, I was trying to teach my girls to have a voice, but this is backfiring. 'Cause their voice, they could use it, right? Like,
Yeah.
"Mom, I don't really agree with what you're saying right now." So, or, "Do you wanna listen to my idea too?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just want you to do what I say."
Yeah.
So, that is one of those at the end of the day, though, we do want our girls to learn how to use healthy power. Part of the
Hmm.
long-term piece that we're practicing as women and having our girls see women, us adults, as well as seeing other girls and practicing is valuing our differences, how people use their voice and in different ways to see the impact of our voices in healthy ways and to get to see both the positive and sometimes the hard, and so when they hurt us by saying something mean, hopefully in the work we're doing in Courageous Girls, we're practicing repair too, and our daughters to be able to say, "Mom, I could have said that nicer. Will you forgive me?" Or
Yeah.
I say that, right? Like, "Yeah, I got a little. I was PMSing.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse. Please forgive me. I was a little short on that one." Or for those of us going through menopause, that's like our excuse now for everything. So,
Yes.
um, well, Michelle, your heart for your daughters is evident, and though you cried in the parking lot and was afraid, what do you think God's been showing you about what it means to be a daughter as you come from your own story of hurt and pain and walking through a process of experiencing a different worldview of what it means to be known and seen and loved as a girl? What are you seeing and experiencing?
Um, I don't know why this comes to my mind, but, I've been thinking about my dad who had passed 2 years ago, and I think the loss of him had resonated or unearthed this I wanting to be known and seen,
Hmm.
and so even yesterday as I was, like it's been a hectic just work week and feeling disconnected from everything, and I felt like the word like, even the scripture of, like, "Search and know my heart," when I was, just saying those couple like simple words, it felt um it I felt like the Lord was unearthing like this is your like this is who you're how you like how how I've created you like is to
Mm,
want this relationship with me
mm,
and recognizing that uh nothing can perfectly fit this except for like my time with the Lord. Because I think I was like trying, okay, maybe I just need a massage. I just need
mm,
this and that. And it was like, gosh, like I even took a nap and I was like, that didn't even suffice. And I felt like in the
mm,
quietness of it, that verse came and just this like God wanting to know my heart even more.
mm,
Um, and for me to even give him that permission to like search my
mm.
heart and know me, every part of me, even the most embarrassing and icky parts, know me and show me how to work through it.
Mm. I actually love that the Lord brought that to mind for you because I think, we forget as parents that children learn how God feels about us through the way a parent interacts with a child. And so part of what we're doing in Courageous Girls, whether moms know it or not, is taking time to know our child, to be with them, to be present, to say, you're worth my time. And I want to know what your thoughts are. And granted, God has a little bit of a cheat sheet, like he knows before we even say it, but he wants us to talk to him
Yeah.
and he wants, there's nothing more that he wants than our heart and our mind and trusting him with all of the parts of who we are, even the icky parts, right? And so teaching our daughters that through experience again and again over the years when they're 9 and when they're 12 and then when they're 15 and now when they're 18, my oldest, that nothing is more important than just knowing you and being in relationship with you. And
Well,
Christianity, sometimes we get that confused with performance, right? Like it's what we
mhm.
do for
Yep.
God rather than this is about who we are with God. And
Yeah.
so that is, I love that he brought that to mind because I think that's a piece I long for. It's my own personal journey of
Mm.
discovery and realizing like God's not wanting all my doing.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
even though he's proud of me and he's like, honey, you couldn't do that without me anyways. you know, but it's really me. And that part of us daughters, us mamas, so many of us mamas have never experienced that.
Mhm.
Because of our parents couldn't give that to us.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the last things I want you to share, maybe Michelle, is I know you are playful, but you also you're a deep feeler. And I'd
Mhm.
love for you to
Oh,
speak
yeah.
because we do a lot of work on emotions, right? Throughout all the years, you're only on year 3, but we talk about emotions all the time in CG.
Mhm.
Talk about your journey with your own emotions and what that's looking like with your journey with your daughters, even today.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So a little background. I grew up where emotions were not allowed.
Mm,
It was a sign of weakness. Um and so I had learned at an early age, even though I was a big feeler, to stuff everything. And so um being a mom when all of like when I was when with the babies and the lack of sleep, all of these emotions were coming out that I couldn't just like hide anymore because they were just bursting seams. I That's when I started part of that counseling, my own counseling journey of okay, like something is off. I don't know. I feel broken and I don't know how to fix it. And recognizing that God gave emotions, like emotions is actually a healthy thing. And so God had to
mhm,
rewire that part of my brain and heart to start to allow myself to feel, to trust that these feelings that God has given me is a good thing.
mm,
Um, and that they're actually signs of what my heart needs or what my soul needs. And so I've learned to tune in and to give myself space to feel on my own if needed and to come back to a situation with knowledge because of those feelings unearthed what God was trying to help me connect the dots, whether
mm,
it's about a fight I had with my husband or an argument with my kiddo. It helps give me clarity. And so
mm,
now Even with my girls, when we talk about emotions, we talk about it as like it's a cue, it's a cue
Mm,
for something that your body needs or that you need, whether it's rest, whether it's food, whether it's time away. And how do we honor that, and listen to that rather
mhm,
than run away or let it overflow and control us.
mhm. I love that. So good. You mentioned, I mean, a lot of people have stories where emotions weren't cared for in their homes. And you've talked with me a little bit about the Asian American community, which is very broad, right? There's going to be a lot of different varieties within that. But speak to that
Yeah.
specifically when it comes to courageous girls and what you might say to that community. Because I sometimes get feedback of saying, oh, this must be for the white suburban mom.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
because I look that way. I mean, technically, I come from the Middle East culture, so I have some cultural backdrops that are different than Western culture,
Yeah.
um, but I'd love for you to speak to that as we end, Michelle.
Yeah, I'll speak just from my experience of the Asian, community. I grew up in a very, in Chinatown. My parents worked in Chinatown, so very much around, Chinese Americans, and so and I even went to, like, a Chinese Christian school as in elementary, so immersed in a lot of that, and I think the messages growing up for me was, that my story was too much of a burden for others, or that we need to hide certain things about our family so that others don't find out because it's shameful and it's embarrassing, and it can reflect poorly on who we are as a family. And so, um, yeah, I just remember like if certain things happened in my family, even like to my cousins, I couldn't say anything. Like, even big news, right? And so, I think with Courageous Girls, it has kind of like started to break some of those walls down, and even just that messaging of, hey, like, um, yes, you need to be wise about who you share your life or, share personal things with, but there's an intention of bringing light to darkness. Like, there's a reason why God, what there's scripture that says, bringing light to the darkness, right? So that we can see more clearly and with people that we trust and gaining wisdom and discernment through the people that we trust as we show those parts of our life. And so I think God has really uh, broken down some of that, uh, rewired that messaging of no, like it's not, things are not to hide, but let's bring it to light with people that you trust. Um, I will share really briefly, like my husband and I during COVID went through our marriage was, I mean, to a point where I just I didn't know if it was sustainable. The rate we were going and divorce was scary, right? And I had two little kids and, and we were all isolated, so we couldn't be with people, and so I said, "Hey, hun, are you okay if we did a Zoom call with some of our closest friends just to air this out? Because these fights are getting so big to the point where I don't know what else is next." And, you know, I think I was really, I think he felt that need too, and so we as embarrassing as it was, did a Zoom call with our closest friends and aired out, all of it. And I felt like the Lord really showed me, hey, I love you and you can trust the people that I've given around you to care for you guys in this time, uh, where it feels so dark and feels like there's no hope. And I feel like for CG, it continues on that community for my own girls to model that, hey, these group of girls and moms are here. There's nothing too big, nothing too ugly, nothing too shameful that you can't share, where we can walk through together, and lean on God and His Word and learn together. And
Mm.
so,
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you for sharing that. I know that's so vulnerable and yet so real, and so many people listening can relate to those breaking points, particularly in our marriage, and some didn't make it, but it sounds like you and your husband made it through, and your community and your courage. I mean, that's one of the things we say is a courageous girl can ask for help, and it takes
Yes.
courage to let people in.
Yeah.
And it does feel initially embarrassing, and yet what we find, you said it, like I actually feel more loved on the
Yeah.
other side by not only God but by these people. I think
Yep.
our vulnerability, and so teaching our girls that at a young age, it becomes their normal, right? They're going to be
Yeah.
adults who just do this, and we're all learning in process in a different way. So that's my hope, at least, that we have a generation of girls who know they're loved and love others well in a really radical way, in a courageous way. So thank you for
Yeah.
saying yes to this, Michelle, and being an impact in your own community. And as we close, is there anything you would want to say to a woman who's maybe on the fence, where she's just like, I don't know, this courageous girls thing seems too much work, too much effort, too much risk. I don't know. There's a lot of too much and a lot of barriers to why women wouldn't start courageous girls. So speak to her before we end today.
Um, yeah, I would say, like, I think I was too scared to. I was at that point. Um, I didn't know most of the ladies that I invited I didn't know them. And so there was a
Mm,
big risk for me. Um, but I would say trust the process. I think that's how I've been just really surprised by trusting this process and just going, okay, even when it's a little rocky, like, to trust the process. And I would say, even like if starting a group feels too big, like, that's why I loved your curriculum for the confident daughters. That's where I actually started first, because when
mm,
COVID shut down, I was like, well, that goes the idea of meeting in person. And I just started there. And because I saw the fruit of, oh my gosh, like, this is opening up, like, so many conversations with my, I think at that time she was in 3rd grade, right? I was like, I didn't know that that was even possible with an
mm,
8-year-old.
yeah.
And I think from there, I was like, I want to experience this with other people. And so, yeah, just an encouragement to take a risk and, start small if you need to, and see where it goes, and trust that God
Mm,
will take even that little part. He'll take and grow.
yeah. Amen, sister. That's a wrap. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for just who you are and sharing today, and being with me and giving your time today. So
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Thanks, Tara.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more, mycourageousgirls.com. We have new curriculum. It is an incredible upgrade from one of the designers of She Reads Truth, Amanda, and one of the editors. And we have revamped the entire curriculum, and it is coming out. It's rolling out little by little for you. But I'm selfishly jealous because of what you guys have access to, and I had like chicken scratch when I was doing this back in the day. So I'm so happy for you and what God is providing because of generous donors like you who are helping us to share this with more and more moms. It's a free resource, or you can buy the book, the curriculum, all of the beautiful curriculum for your year as a keepsake and to help you. And all the proceeds go back to the ministry. So thank you so much for being a financial partner. If you're one of those, a prayer partner, if you're leading your daughter, thank you. That is really at the heart of what you're called to do. So thank you so much for joining us today. And it's a privilege to get to walk with you because you are the right mama for the job. God has asked you to lead your daughter, and He will be with you, and He will provide everything you need along the way.